Clutter isn't always obvious. You may have decluttered a room, but for some reason it just feels off, or it still feels cluttered even though you can't quite put your finger on why. Today I want to share some of the most common forgotten clutter that can catch us out. Let's go! Hi guys, it's Laura and I help you live a simpler, happier, more spacious life. And listen, I am 7 years into my decluttering journey, my minimalism journey right now, and I am still getting rid of stuff. And sometimes people ask me like, how are you still getting rid of stuff after all of these years? How are you not done yet? Or they assume that I must constantly be buying more stuff. And while that used to be the case, it's actually not anymore. So I think one of the main reasons is that there are so many different areas and spaces and categories of clutter that I actually just forget about. It's all that stuff, you know, that's hidden in a drawer or at the back of a cupboard, stuff that is so small and inconspicuous that you don't even notice it. Other reasons would be that I have a husband and a daughter and a dog, and their stuff adds up. So a lot of the stuff I've been decluttering recently is actually their stuff, obviously with their consent, but also I think my decluttering muscle has just become stronger over time, and you know, my tastes have changed, and as we go, you know, things that we couldn't let go of years ago for whatever reason, now it's much easier to declutter that stuff. But let's get back to that forgotten stuff, because I think that does make up a bulk of stuff and it's very easy to overlook. The first, and this is something that I am currently dealing with because I recently decluttered my garage, if you saw that video, and I am just after finishing redecorating my office. That's an upcoming video for you, my office reveal, but I came up against this quite a bit, and that is all of those kind of small DIY things, you know, like screws and nails and Allen keys, various different bits and bobs that you would use to, you know, assemble furniture, hang a picture, etc. You know, you buy a piece of flat pack furniture, which I do often because I love IKEA, but you know, you might get some spares in there, or they'll give you some tool like an Allen key, and then when the job is done, you're left with all of these kind of fiddly bits and you hang on to them because you think, oh, I might need those in future. Before you know it, then you have 11 bajillion Allen keys. Or you're going to do a job like hang a picture, hang a shelf or something, and you need a handful of screws, but they come in packs of 12,000. Or you have repainted a wall and there's still a little bit of paint left in the can, not really enough to, you know, do another job, and over time it just ends up all dried up and you can't do anything with it anyway. But all of those leftover bits from jobs, little DIY projects that we have taken on around the house. So easy to set that aside, so easy to think, you know, I might use that for a future project, but like I said, it adds up over time and we're left with all of these little fiddly bits that we're really never going to use. And like I said, I have come up against this a lot recently. Ooh, this next one, this was one of the biggest and earliest stumbling blocks that I overcame. It was kind of a bottleneck, and once I had cleared it, my journey from then on was much smoother. That is stuff that you had decided to sell. How long has it been sitting there? You know, like I said, early on, this was a trap that I fell into. I set aside a lot of stuff because I thought I could sell it, but months went by and it was still there. And I realized, you know, what is the point of decluttering if I'm just going to leave a pile of clutter there? My priority was not selling it, and I did try, and I realized that it just, for me, was not worth the time and effort I was putting in for the small amount of cash I was getting back for it. I eventually just bagged everything up and I brought it to the charity shop because I realized at that point that no amount of money was going to compensate me. I needed them gone. I needed my space back. So if you have set stuff aside to sell it, maybe to include it in a yard sale, or if you had planned to donate it or recycle it or something like that, and it's still sitting there after quite a while, it's time to clear it out. When you earmark stuff for something, like something in the future, you then become very blind to it because your brain kind of thinks, okay, that I'm doing something about that. I don't need to worry about that right now. Let's move on to other problems that I can solve. And you start to not notice that stuff that's building up in the corner, and it becomes that forgotten clutter. Look around at the stuff that you had promised yourself you would do something with, and either do that thing or just get rid of it in some other way. Whatever is the quickest, most convenient, and hopefully the most environmentally friendly for your lifestyle. Now, every gadget and gizmo these days seems to come with one of these. That is remote controls. Even some light bulbs come with remote controls these days. But obviously TVs, sometimes the fans. In our old house we had a remote control for the fan, thermostats, garage doors, security systems. Everything comes with a remote control these days, or some sort of, button type thing. Chances are that you have them all lined up on your coffee table, or they're scattered throughout your house. And chances also are that there is at least one that you never actually use. And because you don't use it, you don't move it, so it stays on your coffee table, while you, on the other hand, are tearing the couch cushions apart, looking for the control that you actually use. As an aside, what do you call the remote control in your house? Because I call it the remote, my family calls it the remote, but Sam, my husband, he calls it the buttoner. I had never even heard of this name for it before I met him. My grandmother called it the zapper, but yes, what do you call it in your household? Next up is cords and cables. These are the type of clutter that, sometimes you need them. I dream of a wireless world, someday, but right now there are cords and cables that we do need, but unfortunately they're also the type of thing that make a room look very messy. Now, the ones in the room are probably fine because they're probably connected up to something, you are actually currently using them, but do you have a box of them somewhere? I think we all probably do, or at least did at some point in our lives. You just have a random box or tub of various different cables with different connections, different sizes. They all do different things, but realistically you're not 100% sure what. It's those ones, the ones that are tucked away somewhere, that need to be decluttered. They're the ones that become forgotten because you think, again, oh, they might be useful, just in case I will keep this box of random cables. But if they're sitting in a box, if they're out of the way, it's because you're not using them. All the cords and cables that we actually use are the ones that are currently plugged in, or the ones that we use on a very regular basis, like phone chargers. They're the ones that are out, the ones that we use. The ones that are tucked away somewhere, no. It's there because you don't use it, or you don't use the item that it connects to. Maybe you've even decluttered the item that it connects to. But the cable lives on. Again, all of those just in case cables that are taking up space and end up in a dark, forgotten corner. Send them on their way. Okay, I'm gonna lump the next few into one category and call it solo stars. Things that are missing their mate. So solo socks is a good one. Solo gloves. Also, Tupperware or storage tubs that don't have a lid, or lids that don't have a tub. Random pillowcases or sheets that aren't part of a set anymore. You don't know what happened to it, but they're just kind of sitting there unused. And keys that don't seem to unlock anything. You don't know where they go, what they're used for, but you can't get rid of it, just in case. We keep all of those things, again, just in case the other one does eventually show up somewhere. But it's been 6 years. And I know you're afraid that as soon as you get rid of this thing, then the mate, like the matching thing, will show up and you will regret deeply, bitterly, having got rid of the first thing. But realistically, if you were to find the matching sock, all it would mean is that you would have one more pair of matching socks. So you're really going to regret that for the rest of your life, not having that one pair of socks. Pretty much everything these days is replaceable. If you get rid of a key and suddenly you discover a lock and you think, oh, that key probably went there, you can always get some form of key cut. There are very few instances where you can't work things out. Declutter all of those solo stars, because chances are if you haven't found a mate by now, you're not going to. And is it really the end of the world if you shoulda, coulda, woulda had one extra pair of socks? Say goodbye and save yourself the hassle. As another aside, if you are afraid of losing socks, or if it does happen to you regularly, you can pin them together, the matching ones together, before you put them into the washing machine or the dryer, and that way they will stay together, they will come out together, or if one of them does decide to go missing, it will at least have the common decency to take the other one with it. Let's lump this next lot in together too, and that is stuff that you do use on a semi-regular basis, small stuff, but by the time you do use it, it doesn't work. Batteries are a very good example of this. Pens, also another excellent example. Old sunscreen, sunblock, medicines, all the things that dry up or expire. And here's the thing, I don't know why we do this, but you take a pen out of the drawer, it doesn't write, you like scribble furiously on the paper trying to get it to write, you like lick it, you rub it between your hands, you do all sorts, it still won't write. And what do? You throw it back in the drawer and you continue your search for a working pen. Why? Next time you're looking for a pen, you pull the exact same one out, you have the exact same experience, you curse the gods, and yet you throw it back in. So like the circus cycle continues all over again. Think about all of those types of things, all of the little things that never seem to work when you needed them to. And I'm guilty of this all of the time, particularly with batteries. But is that just me? Because most things take at least 2 batteries. So you're trying to find, like, you don't know if 2 of them don't work, you don't know if it's that both of them are empty or if it's just one. So you keep trying different. Is that, yeah, no, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of my batteries have actually run out, although I have switched now somewhat to rechargeable batteries, which is what I'm using in my microphone right now. Saves me so much hassle, let me tell you. So yeah, figure out what those things are for you and then remove those things from your life, the ones that are actually not working, and try and figure out some type of replacement like rechargeable batteries that's just going to make your life easier. But don't put that pen that does not work back in the drawer. Let's continue the lumping, shall we? Next one is containers that you keep because you think they will be good for something else. Jars are a very good example of this, or good boxes. You know, the ones that are nice and sturdy and you think, yes, I will definitely reuse this box. Also plant pots. You know, the plastic ones that they come in and like they're ugly and you don't like them, so you immediately repot the plant because it deserves better than that ugly plastic pot. Listen, if I could, I would invest money in plant pots because they are insanely overpriced. They're really expensive and nobody bats an eyelid at paying a fortune for them. Probably one of the most overpriced things that I have ever come across in my life. Now, if you're like me, you just go to IKEA and buy yourself a bin for 99 cents. Or if you're feeling extra fancy, you will buy a basket that the bin will fit perfectly into. And then bam, you have just paid about $16 for something that would have cost you $60 in a garden centre. Saving myself a fortune here, folks. Anyway, focus. Containers that, yes, you are saving because you think you're going to make those lovely granola breakfasts, you know, that you see on Pinterest in all of those beautiful mason jars. Yeah, I have notions all the time also, but I know myself well enough to know that I'm not actually going to do that. Or those boxes that are of such a sturdy construction, such good quality, that you keep because it's hard to get good quality boxes these days. They don't make them like they used to, folks. Or those plant pots that you replace with the equivalent of a week's rent. Again, it's all of that forgotten stuff. It's the stuff that you have earmarked for something else. So you put it in a corner, you put it in a cupboard, and you basically go about the rest of your life completely oblivious to it. It's time to let them go. And now gift wrapping supplies, gift bags, ribbons, wrapping paper, like cards, tags. All of that stuff is cute, it's relatively inexpensive, but pretty soon you have enough that you could open your own shop. It is so easy to stock up on this stuff because it's useful. Like I said, it's relatively inexpensive. There are lots of events and occasions that crop up throughout the year and you always think, you know, oh, here's some gift bags that I could use for this potential thing. But for some reason, when it does come time for an occasion, the stuff that you've got on hand, the wrapping paper, the gift bags, aren't quite right for the occasion. I don't know how that happens. And yes, you know, a few times during the year, you are probably going to need to give a gift or at least a greeting card of some kind. And so we think, yeah, I'll, you know, have a selection on hand so that I don't have to run out at the last minute. But you probably have a pretty extensive collection at this point, or certainly I do. Also, I'm the type of person that will keep a gift bag if somebody gifts something to me, or wrapping paper, you know, if it's still in reasonably good condition, I will keep that, or the tissue, you know, like all of the decorative tissue and stuff. I keep that too. So yeah, I have more than I need. I think in these situations, it's probably best to stick to like one or two kind of general multi-purpose colors. You know, like maybe a metallic or a red or a green or something, or even the brown craft paper that you can jazz up in so many different ways with, you know, a colorful ribbon or something. But instead of having 50 different rolls of wrapping paper, you have one or two. Something generic, a neutral but maybe fun color, and then a small selection of blank cards. Again, that can be used for any occasion. Whittle your collection down either by, you know, donating or recycling what you don't need, or just making a conscious effort to use it up before you buy more. And then when you do buy more, like I said, stick to those kind of generic all-purpose things that are still lovely, but they don't tie you down to like a specific birthday or a specific type of event. Years ago, I bought my daughter a birthday card with the number 5 on it for her 5th birthday, and then forgot to give it to her because I had bought it so far in advance, and then I was stuck with the card with the number 5 on it. So now I'm basically just waiting for somebody's kid, anybody's kid, to turn 5 so that I can actually use that card, but chances are I will also forget when that occasion rolls around. Try and buy the kind of all-purpose ones when you can. And then papers, oh, these multiply when your back is turned, and because they're so small, we don't really think about them. Like, they're sneaky. They don't take up much space individually, but then they pile up. They're so easy to overlook, and they come at you from all angles and in various different forms. It's like bills that we have to pay, invitations, receipts, coupons, you know, things that your kid brings home, artwork, leaflets, flyers, insurance documents, so many different types of papers. And yeah, before you know it, your countertops, your filing cabinet, your notice board, they're all overflowing with different bits of paper. Paper has become such a huge part of our lives these days, even though they promised us, you know, when computers came out, that we were moving into this paperless world. But will we ever actually be there? I don't know, but like I said, it's become so prevalent, we're so used to it, that again, it forms part of that forgotten clutter. We become very blind to it because we just expect it to be there because it's always been there. And yes, some of it is useful because we need to, you know, fill in a form, or we need to keep something for legal reasons, tax reasons, for example. But other times we keep a piece of paper because we are erring on the side of caution. We're not sure if we'll need it. Chances are we won't, but we keep it again because it's so teeny tiny, but it quickly adds up until it is no longer teeny tiny. Or maybe you forget about it. You forget to declutter it because you just don't want to deal with it. Like, you are just happy living in denial. Thank you very much. Totally understandable. But if you want a simple, effective way to deal with paper, something that is easy to implement, you know, so you can stay on top of your papers, it doesn't become overwhelming, you're definitely going to want to check out this video. It is my simple system for sorting and managing paperwork so that I'm only keeping what I actually want or need. Go check that out, or also check the description box for loads more decluttering content. And until next time, go raibh míle maith agam. Agus feici mé sibh sa glua. Slán!